Good evening, guys. In the last session, we worked with several commands in the Linux. So what are the commands we discussed in the last session? In last session, we discussed below commands. What are those? One is VI command. And second one is sed command. Then we discussed about locate command, and we discussed about find command. VI, set, locate, find. VI is used as a editor. VI we are going to VI command. We will use to edit file data. To edit file data. Okay. By opening the file, we can edit. VI will open the file, then we can edit. VI command will open file and we can edit it. Sed stands for stream editor. Sed means stream editor. Stream editor. We can use sed command to perform the file operations without opening the file. So if you want to replace the text, if you want to delete particular line, we can perform operations on data without opening the file, using sed command. Locate command is used to find the location of files or directories in mlocate database. Locate command is used to identify the path of files or directories. It will search in mlocate.db. It will maintain its own database for the files and directories available in our system, and it is going to search for the files and directories in its own database. Now, find command will search for the files. Find is more hierarchical command. It will search for files or directories in entire file system. So that is the difference between locate command and find command. Locate command is going to search for the files or directories in the locate database. Locate command will search for the files or directories in the locate database. Find is more hierarchical command. It will search for the files or directories in entire file system. Now, in the find command, you can specify I want to search only files or I want to search only directories, but locate is going to search for everything. So this is what we discussed in the last session. Are you guys comfortable? VI nothing but editor command. By using this, we can open the file data and we can modify the file data as per our requirement. So in the project, we will have some configuration files. Got my point? In the project, we will have some configuration files. If you want to modify the configuration file, then we can go for VI command. VI is an editor. Then you can modify. Sed command. I want to replace one word with another word in the file. I want to delete 10th line in the file. I want to delete last line in the file. Then without opening the file, you can perform the operations on the file by using sed command. Sed, stream editor. Now here I want to identify all the txt files available in my file system, or I want to identify all the empty directories available in my file system. I want to identify all the Java files available in my operating system. Okay, in order to identify the path of the files, we can go for two commands. One is the find command, another one is locate command. So what is the purpose of find and locate? Find and locate commands are used to search for the path of the files. Find and locate commands are used to search for the path of the files. Locate will search for the files or directories in the locate database. Locate will maintain its own database and it is going to search for the files and directories in its own database. Find command is going to search in all the file system, all the directories it is going to open and it is going to search where the file is available. Performance wise, locate is faster than the find command. You got it? So difference between find command and locate command that we discussed in the last session. Okay, now today's session we are going to talk about file permissions, guys. Today's session we are going to talk about file permissions in Linux. File permissions in Linux. File permissions in Linux. Now, in our Linux operating system, we are going to keep so many files. So in the operating system, we will store the data in the files. Now, we will use files. We will use files to store the data. We will use the files to store the data. In order to protect our data, we need to secure our file. In order to protect our data, we need to secure our files. We can secure our files by using file permissions in the Linux. We can secure our files using file permissions in Linux. Using file permissions in Linux. Are you guys getting my point? Now I have my application. I have my Linux computer. I have my Linux machine, Linux VM. We can say Linux virtual machine is available. EC2 Linux VM. EC2 Linux VM is available. Okay. Now in this application, I'm having my in this machine, I'm having my application. In this machine, I'm having my application. For this application, I'm having one config file. In this application, I'm having one config file. In this configuration file, application related information like database credentials, SMTP credentials, log credentials, all the credentials which are required for our application are available. Now, in my Linux VM, I have one server. Inside that server, my application is running. That application is using some config data. Application using some config data. It is one file. Now, can multiple users access my application? Can multiple users access our Linux machine? Linux is a single user operating system or Linux is a multi-user operating system? Linux is a single user operating system or Linux is a multi-user operating system? Linux is a multi-user operating system. That means multiple users can access my Linux machine at a time. Multiple users can access my Linux machine at a time. Linux is multi-user operating system. Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time. Linux is multi-user OS. Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine, same Linux machine at a time. Multiple users can connect to Linux machine at a time. Now, are we going to provide the access for configuration file for all the users, or we need to provide the configuration file access only for the administrator? Now, anybody who access my Linux machine can modify my configuration data, can modify my project configuration data, or I will not allow everybody to modify my configuration file data. We should not allow everybody to modify our configuration file data. Our application is running inside Linux, inside a server which is installed in Linux VM. Our application running inside a server which is installed in Linux VM. Our application using configuration data, our application taking the configuration data from a file. Our application reading config data from a file like dbconfig, mail config, mail config, security config, like that. Several configuration properties are required for our application. Instead of keeping those configurations in the Java program, I kept those configuration data in a file. Now we should not allow everybody to modify config data available in the configuration file. We should not allow everybody to access config file because it is having sensitive data. We should not allow everybody to access config file because it is having sensitive data. Now, in my project, assume that there are some team members available. 2 team members are experienced people who are working on the DevOps. 2 team members are experienced people who are working on the DevOps. 2 team members are freshers. Can we allow all the experienced and freshers to modify the data in the config file? Can I allow the freshers also to modify the data in the config file? Come on, guys. Freshers means who don't have experience. They don't have experience on the deployment. They don't have experience on the configurations. Can we allow them to modify the configuration file? We don't allow them. Why? Because if they modify something by mistake, application will be affected because they don't have the experience. If they do any mistake in the configuration, complete project will be collapsed. Complete client business will be collapsed. So we don't want to take any risk here. Are you guys able to understand? We will use files to store the data. In order to protect our data, we need to secure our files. We can secure our files by using file permissions in Linux. We can secure our data by using file permissions in the Linux. Let us take one use case to understand. Why file permissions are very, very, very important. Now, this is what one scenario I'm taking. Use case to understand the importance of file permissions. Use case to understand importance of file permissions. 4 team members are working in the project. 4 team members working on the application deployment. We have a DevOps team. With 4 members. 2 members are experienced. And 2 members are freshers. Okay. We have a DevOps team with 4 members. Out of the 4, 2 members are experienced people and 2 members are freshers. So this is the structure. My application is running in the Linux machine. In the Linux machine, I have installed a server. In that server, I have deployed my application. My application is talking to one file. That file contains configuration data. Linux is multi-user OS. Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time. Now, our application running inside a server, which is installed in Linux VM. Our application reading config data from a file. What configuration data available in the file? In that file, we have database configuration. We have mail configuration. We have security configuration. Database configuration, mail configuration, security configuration available. We should not allow everybody to access config file because it is having sensitive data. Now, my requirement is in DevOps team, as we have 4 members, in DevOps team, we should allow experienced people to modify the file, and freshers should not modify the file. As we have 4 team members in DevOps, we should allow only experienced members to modify the file, and freshers can see the file, but they should not modify the file. This is my requirement. As we have 4 members in DevOps team, we should allow only experienced members to modify the file, and freshers can see the file, but they should not modify the file. Are you able to understand my requirement? Are you understanding my use case? Are you understanding my use case? Are you understanding my use case? I have a project which is running. My project is taking the important data from a file. Can we allow everybody to modify the file? We cannot. If we allow freshers to modify the file, they may do some mistake in config file. Then total project will be affected. So we should not take the risk. Note, if we allow freshers to modify the file, they may do some mistake in config file, then total project will be affected. So we should not take the risk. Hence, I want to provide only read access for freshers. I want to provide only read access for freshers and read and write access for experienced people. Read and write access for experienced people. You understand my requirement. So in order to manage read and write access, we need to understand how to work with the file permissions in the Linux. Are you guys able to follow me? What is the importance of the file permissions? Are you guys able to understand what is the importance of the file permissions now? You got the use case? In order to manage the permissions, in order to manage the file permissions, we are going to talk about some commands, how to manage the file permissions. Can you guys read this theory once again? File permissions in Linux. We will use files to store the data. Application related data, configuration data will be available in the files only. Okay. In order to protect our data, we need to secure our files. That means I want only experienced people to modify the data. I don't want the freshers to modify the data. We can secure our files using file permissions in the Linux. Okay, sir, what is a file permission? Why we need to secure our files? How to secure? That's why I'm giving one use case to understand importance of file permissions. Let us take an example. We are DevOps team. We are a DevOps team. In our team, 4 members are there. 2 members are experienced people. 2 members are freshers. They just joined yesterday. They are freshers. They don't know anything. They are learning. Now, Linux machine is a multi-user machine, multi-user operating system. Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time. Now here, what is the thing is, my project is running inside a server. I have a EC2 Linux VM, Ubuntu machine is there. In that machine, I have installed one server. In that server, I have deployed one application. That application taking the configuration data from a file. 4 users are accessing our EC2 instance. 4 users are connecting to our EC2 machine. 4 users are connecting to our EC2 machine. Now, user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, team member 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 members are there. 1 and 2 people are experienced, 3 and 4 people are freshers. Now, what I want to do is, as configuration file data is very sensitive data, that means if any change happen to the configuration, application will be affected. If you do any mistake in the configuration, project cannot run. Project will be stopped. Project will be collapsed. If the project is stopped, client business will be affected. So can we take the risk here? No, I don't want to take any risk. I want only experienced people to manage the configuration data. I want only experienced people to manage my configuration data. So that's the reason what I want to do is, for experienced people, I want to provide both read and write access. For freshers, I want to provide only read access, but not the write access for the configuration file. Our application running inside a server, it is talking to configuration data. We should not allow everybody to access the config file because it is having sensitive data. As we have 4 members in DevOps team, we should allow only experienced member to modify the file, and freshers can see the file, but they should not modify the file. Freshers should read the file. Experienced people can read the file and can write the data. We allow freshers, if we allow freshers to modify the file, they may do some mistake in the config file, then total project will be affected. So we should not take the risk here. We should not take the risk. Hence, I want to provide only read access for freshers and read and write access for the experienced people. Then we are safe. Then we are safe. Okay. Guys, I hope I'm clear in explaining the importance of file permissions in Linux. Okay. Now, so here, managing file permissions in the Linux. Working with the file permissions in Linux. Working with file permissions in Linux OS. How to work with the file permissions in the Linux OS. Okay. Now, first of all, we want to see what are the permissions available for a file. We can execute ls-l command to see the existing file permissions. We can execute which command? We can execute ls-l command to see file permission details, to see file permissions information. What command we are going to execute to see the file permissions? ls-l command to see file permissions information. Okay, are you getting my point? Let me start my instance. Let me log in into my AWS console. Let me log in into my AWS console, and I will show you how to work with file permissions. It is very, very, very important concept, guys. Damn sure they will ask a question in the interview. How to manage file permissions in Linux. 4HM83W. Okay. Password. Yeah, perfect. Now, let me start my EC2 instance. Perfect. DevOps EC2 instance we have. AWS DevOps VM is there. Now go to action, instance state, start. Yes, start this instance. Once this instance is started, I will go to my putty command. I will go to putty software and I will connect to this instance by using putty so that I can perform the operations. Browse the PPK file. DevOps 01 DevOps key pair Linux VM key pair. Now session, I need to give the IP. My instance is getting started. Once instance is started, they will assign the IP. Yes, public IP assigned for this. Now let's give the IP. Go to appearance, change the font, bold 20. Click on OK and open. Accept. My username is Ubuntu because I'm using Ubuntu machine. Right. Are you able to see my screen? I have connected to my EC2 instance. Now, can we check what is our present working directory? PWD is my present working directory. Who am I? My name is Ubuntu. My username is Ubuntu. Clear. Now, can you tell me what is the command we are going to use to check the existing files? ls-l command. Wow. Can you see the files which are available here? File1.txt, file2.txt, f3.txt. How many files are available? Total there are 3 files are available. Whenever we execute this command, are you able to see some RWR? Are you able to see those characters? Come on, guys. This first character will represent whether it is a file or whether it is a directory or it is a link file. If it is starting with -, it is a file, normal file which contains the data. If it starts with a directory, then it is called, if it starts with a D, then it is called as a directory. mkdir directory 1. Okay, now clear this. ls-l ls-l. Now see here, it is starting with a D. If it is starting with a D, what does it mean? It is a directory. If it is starting with a hyphen, it is called as ordinary file. If it is starting with a L, it is called as a link file. We already discussed about Linux file system. In the Linux, everything is represented as a file. How many types of files we can see in the Linux? 3 types of files we can see in the Linux: directory, ordinary file, and link file. Directory file will be represented by D. If it is starting with D, then it is called directory. If it is starting with hyphen, it is called as ordinary file, which will contain the data. If it is starting with the L, it is called as a link file. Okay, good. Now, when I am executing ls-l command, it is listing down all the files available. Here you need to observe some characters are displaying rwx, rwx, r-x. Is this clear, man? Now here if you see rw, rwr, if you see here rw, rwr, rw, rwr, here you can see 3 characters rwx, read, write, execute, no permission. rwx, there are 3 things are available. Now whenever we execute this command, whenever we execute ls-l command, it is going to display data like this. Whenever we execute ls-l command, it is going to display the text like this. It is going to display the text like this. Now, if you observe here, character R represents read permission. Character R represents read permission. Character W represents write permission. Character X represents execute permission. Represents execute. R means read, W means write, X means execute. Hyphen means no permission. Hyphen means no permission. Are you guys getting my point? We can execute ls-l command to see file permissions information. Now, if you see here, you can see rw, x, something like this. Okay, these all are called as permissions of the file. R represents read permission, W represents write permission, X represents execute permission, hyphen represents no permission. Okay, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, execute. Like this, there are some permissions are available. Okay, now file permissions contains 3 segments. File permission contains 3 segments. File permission contains 3 segments. File permission contains 3 segments. What are those 3 segments? Now rw hyphen rw hyphen rw, rw hyphen rw hyphen rw. Right? There are 3 segments available in file permission. There are 3 segments available in file permission. Can you see? rw hyphen r hyphen. Now file permission contains 3 segments. Okay, rwx, and rwx. These are the 3 segments available in the file permission. First segment represents, there are 3 segments in the file permission. First segment represents user, second segment represents group permission, third segment represents other permission. Okay, there are 3 segments available in file permissions. Now, if I say this is first segment, if I say this is my first segment, this is called as second segment, and this is called as third segment. First segment is this. File permission contains 3 segments. This is first segment, and this is second segment, and this is third segment. Second segment and third segment. Are you able to understand the segments available in the file system? Are you able to understand the segments available in the file system? three parts will be available. In three parts, again sub three parts will be available. First section represents user permissions for the file user permissions on the file. What permissions that the user is having on that file? Okay, who created that file? What permission that the user is having on that file? Now, first section represents user permissions on the file. Second section represents group permissions on the file. Third section represents others permission, other users, anyone else who connected. Third section represents group permissions on the file. First section represents user permissions on the file. Second section represents group permissions on the file. First section represents user permissions on the file. Second section represents group permissions on the file. Third section represents others permissions on the file. Now, in every section, three parts are available. Read, write, execute. R means read. If R is there, that means read permission is there. If W is there, that means write permission is there. If X is there, that means execute permission is there. Okay, total there are three segments available. RW hyphen R. Okay, now here if I take one permission like this, hyphen RW hyphen R double hyphen. Now, based on this permission, can you tell me who is having which permission for a file? Who is having which permission for a file? Now, let me say that this is f1.txt. This is f1.txt. Can you tell me who is having which permission for this f1.txt? Can you tell me who is having which permission on the f1.txt? How many sections are there? Three sections are available. What is the first section? This is other permission. Third section represents other permission, others permission on the file. Third section represents others permission on the file. Now, in this scenario, f1.txt having some permissions. Can you tell me who is having which permission in the f1.txt? In the f1.txt, first section contains RW hyphen. That means user having read and write permission. User having read and write permission, no execute permission. No execute permission. First section contains RW hyphen. That means only read and write permissions are available. First section contains RW hyphen. First section contains RW hyphen. That means user having only read and write permission, no execute permission. Is this clear for you? Second section contains same RW hyphen. That means group having only read and write permission. That means group having only read and write permission, no execute permission. No execute permission. Got it? Now, in the third section, what is available, guys? In the third section, can you tell me? Third section contains only R double hyphen. That means others having only read, no write and execute. That means others having only read permission, no write and execute permission. No write and execute permission. Are you guys able to follow this? Now, I hope you got what is the meaning of a file permission. How can we understand the permissions of a file? Just we are understanding existing file permissions, guys. That's it. I'm not managing any permission now. I'm just teaching you how to understand what permissions are available for a file. Guys, are you with me? Able to understand what I'm explaining? Are you feeling bored? Are you feeling bored? Is this important topic or not important topic? It's very, 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 very important topic. Very, very, very important topic when you are working with Linux. Okay, now can you tell me how can I see permissions of a file? How can I see file permissions in the Linux OS? Which command I need to use to see the file permissions? ls-l. File permission contains what type of characters? R, W, X. R, W, X. R means read permission. W means write permission. X means execute permission. So a file can contain three types of permissions. Read, write, execute. Read permission will be represented by a character called R. Read permission will be represented by a character called R. Write permission will be represented by a character called W. Execute permission will be represented by a character called X. Okay. Now, a file contains permission. How many sections will be available in the file permission? How many segments will be available in the file permission? File represents three segments. File represents three segments. What those three segments will represent? What those three segments will represent? User's permission for the file, group permission for the file, others permission for the file. User permission for the file, group permission for the file, others permission for the file. Now, I have given one use case. I have given one use case. RW-RW-R, two hyphens. Now, here if you see, this file contains this file permission contains three segments. This is first one is user permission, second one is group permission, third one is others permission. User permission, group permission, other permission. Okay. First section contains RW hyphen. That means user having. That means user having only read and write permission on the file. User having read and write permission on the file. Second section contains RW. That means group having only read and write permission, no execute permission. Third section contains only R. Third section contains only R. That means what? Others are having only read permission. They don't have the write permission and execute permission. Are you people able to understand? Now, can I give one more use case? Can you tell me the permissions? Can I give one more use case? Can you tell me the permissions? Can you tell me the permissions now? R-X, R-W hyphen, okay, X. Okay, this is my file, f2.txt. f2.txt. Now, can you tell me who is having which permissions here? Can you tell me who is having which permission here? Can you tell me who is having which permission here? Who is having which permission here? Come on. Most of the people giving wrong answers. Most of the people giving wrong answers. User having read and execute. User having read and execute. No write. Group having read and write. No execute. Group having read and write. No execute. Other having only execute. Other having only execute. no read and write. This is what the permission for that. A section contains 3 characters now. First section having R-X, that means a W missing. So no write permission for the user. User having only read and execute, no write permission because R-X, read and execute is there for user, no write. Second one, RW- read write is available, but no execute is available. Third section, double-X, read write is not available, only execute is available. This is simple. Why are you getting confused about it? Why are you getting confused about it? You check it. You divide that permission into 3 segments, guys. Whenever you are understanding the file permission, you divide the file permissions into 3 segments. Every segment should contain 3 characters. RWX, RWX, R-X, W missing, no write permission. Second segment, RW-, R is there, W is there, X is not there, no execute. Third segment, -X, R is not there, W is not there, read write not there, only execute is there. Like that, you need to understand file permissions. Like that, you need to understand the file permissions. Samjhe? Working with the file permissions in Linux OS. R is there, Gayatri. In the first section, R is there, hyphen is there, X is there. That means read and execute is there, no write permission. This is the first section. Let me highlight the first section for you. You are getting confused. This is the first section. And this is the second section. And this is the third section. You understand? First hyphen represents it is a text file. First hyphen represents it is a text, it is an ordinary file. First hyphen is an ordinary file. First hyphen represents ordinary file. T represents directory. Hyphen represents a normal file. Yeah, first section, second section, third section. Clear? You got it now. You got it now. How to understand the permissions of the files. Now, can you see who is having which permissions here? For the directory, who is having which permission? Can you tell me who is having which permission for the directory 1? For the directory 1, who is having which permission? Read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read and execute. User and group having all 3 permissions. Others having only read and execute, no write permission. Others having read and write, no execute permission. You understand this? You understand this? Clear now? Okay. Now we need to talk about how to change the file permission. Now we need to talk about how to change file. We understand 2 topics. Why we need to discuss about file permissions, why it is important. I have given one use case. Why we need to discuss about file permissions, I have given one use case. And the second topic I have explained how to understand the permissions available for a file. How to understand the permissions available for a file. Now, how to change the file permissions. How to change the file permissions. Okay. Now clear ls-l. Yeah, I'm able to get some data. Let me print that data here. Let me print that data here. ls-l. This is my command. This is giving me this result. This is giving me this result. Now, if you see file 1, file 2, F3, all are having same permissions, right? Users are having read and write. Group is having read and write. Others are having only read permission. Now, add a permission. Add a permission. Okay. I want to add write permission for others for f3.txt. Add write permission for others on f3.txt file. In the f3.txt, others are having write permission, others are having only read permission. Now can you see f3.txt? f3.txt, what permission others are having on the f3? What permission others are having on the f3? Read only, not execute. Others, third section contains R double hyphen, only read permission. Add write permission for others on f3.txt. Okay. In order to add the permission for a file, we are going to use one command called chmod command. Chmod command. What is the command that we are going to use? Chmod command. To whom we need to add the write permission? For others. Others plus W. For others, add the write permission on f3.txt. This is the command. This is the command. Add write permission for others on f3.txt file. chmod o plus W. O means others. O means others. Plus means add. Plus means add. O means others. O means others. Plus means add. W means write. O means add. W means write. W means write. So now you understand how to add the write permission for F3 for the others. chmod O plus W. F3.txt. O means others. The plus means add. W means write for F3. Now once again, let me execute this command. ls-l. Let us see what are the permissions available for F3. Others are having what permission? Only read permission. I want to add the write permission. chmod others add write for f3.txt. Executed. ls-l. Now can you see what permissions are having for others in the F3 file? Can you see others are also having read and write? Can you see others also having read and write? Come on. How I have added that write permission for the others? How I have added write permission for the others? chmod command. I have executed a command called chmod. In the chmod, what I have given? O plus W. What is the meaning of O plus W? For others, add the write permission. O means others. Plus means add. W means write permission for f3.txt. That's it. Now remove read permission for group on f3.txt. Now that is my next requirement. Remove read permission for group. Remove read permission for group on f3.txt file or any file, f3.txt file. Can you guess the command now? Can you guess the command now? Bhaiya, come on. Remove read permission for group on f3.txt. Remove group permission. chmod group minus remove f3.txt. Sorry, chmod. Now ls-l. Now can you see group is having read permission, group is having only write permission, group is having read permission, group is having only write permission. G minus R for group remove, minus means remove, R read permission. Okay, what is the command I'm using here? What is the command I'm using? $chmod group minus R f3.txt. Group minus R f3.txt. Here G means group, minus means remove, R means read permission. R means read. We have remove read permission for group on f3.txt. Okay. Add execute permission for user on f3.txt. Add execute permission for user on f3.txt file. Now, can you tell me the command? Can we tell me the command? What I need to do? Add execute permission for user on f3.txt file. You guys got it. Perfect. Execute means Ena. Execute means X man. Make it a ready. Shake a ready. Execute means not E. It is X. Execute X. So what is the command? $chmod. Add the execute permission for user. User means U. Add means plus. X means execute. f3.txt. So adding the permission, removing the permission. Okay. Now you see here clear ls-l. For f3 file, what permission user is having? Only read write. Only read write. chmod u plus x f3.txt. Now see here ls-l for f3. User is having all the three permissions now. User is having all the three permissions now. User is having all the three permissions or not? User is having all the three permissions now. Okay. Like this, we can add the permission for user, we can add the permission for group, we can add the permission for others. In the same way, we can remove the permission for user, we can remove the permission for the group, we can remove the permission for others also. U represents user, G represents group, U represents others. U means user, U means user, plus means add, U means user, plus means add, X means execute. X means execute. Nobody can explain you this much clearly, man, on the file permissions. What is file permission? How to understand the existing file permissions? How to add the permission? How to remove the permission by using chmod command. I hope I'm very clear in explaining file permissions in Linux. I'm very clear in explaining the file permissions. Are you guys clear with this? Come on. Yep, good. Good. Guys, with this, I'm stopping for today. With this, I'm stopping for today. We will continue in the next session. Tomorrow class is doubtful, sir. I'm having some work tomorrow. I will confirm that before 1 hour of the session. Whether we have the class tomorrow or not, I will confirm before 1 hour. Tomorrow we are going to talk about some numeric permission. You can give the numbers also for the numeric permissions. Numeric based permissions we can give, that I will discuss tomorrow. Then I will discuss about how to add the users, how to add the groups in the Linux, that I will discuss. Okay. Tomorrow class is doubtful. Tomorrow we may have class or we may not have. I will confirm that before 1 hour in the Telegram group. We have a Telegram group. I will update if the class is not available. Okay. Thank you. Please practice this file permissions in the Linux. That is very, very, very important. We'll continue in the next session. Thank you guys. I will upload these class notes. Please practice it.